Yes, yes.
This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 and the kidney one. My girl, I just want a chicken wing. How about that? At this point, I just want a chicken wing. Something to eat. How much is it? $23? You Lloyd, $23 for a chicken wing? Oh, that's highway robbery. Now you know we can't get out, so you hiking the prices up? Stop it. What? I don't believe. I don't believe this. Who does that? Look like everybody's doing it. All right, just send the chicken wing. All right, I already did it online and everything like that. Yes, I got all the little the food places, online. Come on, just send it. Because my girl is about to come on. My girl with the bad show is about to come on. I don't miss her. I want to get my chicken wing on when she gets on. Okay? All right, well, I gotta go because I gotta see. Because this is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 in the kidney world. Hey guys, happy Mother's Day to every woman out there, every mother, every surrogate mother, stepmother, godmother, grandmother, mother of the mothers. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. You deserve it. We thank you for your service, your love, your nurturing, and everything you've done to brought your sweet children up. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, we got a great show for you tonight. Ooh, great. I thought I'd never get this woman on the show. I had a piece of her one time when we had one of the champions event, and she did a little 5-minute, 10-minute little talky talk. But this time I got her on the show to do something so you can really know about her journey, her kidney journey. Okay. All right. Let me describe her first. Put your hats and your seats on. Okay. Buckle up. This is a ride for you. Okay. Stephanie Dixon. This woman, oh please, she got too many jobs for me. I hope I can read them all. All right. She's a kidney warrior. She's an advocate. Oh please, what isn't she? All right. She's a CKD champion. Oh man, she's been with ESRD iPro for like forever. And oh please, she worked as administrator. She just got so many jobs, especially dealing with health. And who knew that she dealt with even being a musician and musician running in her blood and in her family. But honey, she's going to come on and she's going to tell you, I'm going to shut it up and I'm going to sick my sister on right now. Come on, come on, come on. Stephanie Dixon.
Hey,
the
Lisa.
Queen. Hi, girl. The
How
queen
you doing?
of clean and hand washing is her thing. Come on here. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. How are you? Happy
Alive and
Mother's Day.
thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you too. Happy Mother's Day to
Thank
you.
you.
You looking good and you looking festive.
Well, I'm not home, but before I go out, I suit up. I double
Uh-huh.
mask.
Uh-huh.
I glove up, all of that. But I'm in the house now. I'm not in my house, but I'm in the house. I'm at my granddaughter's house.
Okay. Well, they look showing some love for you over there. I heard you saying you playing games and stuff like that, doing a little listening and that. That's what it's all about, spending time with family. I would say spend time with God, spend time with family, and get to do some things you don't get a chance to do.
Exactly. Craft projects, put my name down. We got a craft project coming up. About to
You
make
ain't
a
never.
wigwam.
Woo, you got work after this. I ain't mad at you. I just
Exactly.
want to have some dinner. I just would like to have some dinner. I'm a little shaky, but God knows all things, and I'm getting through this. Man, you're and you got so many jobs. You're an infectious prevention ambassador. I thought that was cool when I read that on the thing that you're doing tomorrow, because you're doing a webinar tomorrow, and I signed
Yes,
up
what I
for it.
tell.
Right.
Thank you.
So yes, and I shared it for other people to sign up on it too, to learn
Thank
and
you.
hear more things from you.
I'm
You're
looking
welcome.
forward to it. But that one is tomorrow is not focused on infection prevention, but
No,
that
you got
is
to find
my
a job. I
no,
know
no.
one of them jobs you got.
Yes, well, we do so much. I tell you, there's so much out there in the kidney world, so much that people need to know, that we all need to know, we all need to put into good practice. And with this
That's
COVID 19 floating around, that
mhm.
puts a highlight on infection prevention. One of the things that puts a highlight on is infection prevention.
Well, okay. Then we're gonna draw right in there. Then I know you're a health educator. Now, before we get into that, what did you used to do before you got into the different things with health and all the wonderful things that you do now, all the projects and stuff? What did you do employment wise before? If you don't mind me saying.
Mainly, I did office administration, office management. I ran many high level law firms,
Hmm.
for profit, nonprofit, and I also worked in investment banking. And I worked at the post office just to make some money when my children were younger, but
Hmm.
mainly I did office management.
Wow. Well, how was that? Did you like those jobs?
I wouldn't take a job I didn't like. I have walked off of interviews. No, I wouldn't take a job if I didn't like it, the atmosphere, the pay, whatever. I wouldn't take a job. I took the job at the post office because it paid enough. It didn't pay what Fortune 500 pays, but
Mm.
it paid enough that I could pay my bills
Yeah. When I
and
worked with
stay
the
home
post
with
office,
my
I got
children.
paid. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I liked doing the post office. I only did it seasonal, and I had a good time. But my family had dealt with the post office. Okay. All right. So, okay. You had a job. You had more than one job. You're a mother. You're a grandmother, and you had
Yes.
three children. Okay.
Yes.
Now we talked about employment. Let's go into your journey of how did you find out that you had to go on dialysis?
I went to the emergency room with my daughter. She was 14 years old at the time. They hooked me up to the blood pressure machine. My blood pressure was astronomical, and a doctor happened to come past the station that I was at. And, we said hello. And then he glanced at the blood pressure machine. And I didn't realize I was close to having a heart attack if I had not gotten treatment. And
Mm.
then he said, "Come with me." And he took me and they put me in the ICU. And that was basically it.
Wow. Wow. Whew. Now I know that had to be something because I mean in my 30s and 40s I went stroke level because my pressure and stuff got high. It was fine, in
Hmm.
my 50s and everything, but boy, then so I couldn't imagine you finding out this. You could have had a stroke, you're in the emergency room, and
Hmm.
bam, they told you had to go on dialysis. How did you take that when they told you this?
The doctor said, "You need dialysis." I didn't even know what dialysis was. I didn't
Mm,
even think to ask, maybe because I was in brain fog or, toxic overload, whatever. But he said, "You need dialysis, and if you don't get it, you're going to die." What reverberated with me was the word die. So I thought I was dying.
it's stuck in your head right here.
It stuck in my head.
Yes. Wow. Wow. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, so I know when you had heard this and your 14-year-old girl daughter that was a teenager have heard this as
Mhm.
well, you know, I don't know if they understood either. Since you didn't understand, maybe the kids wouldn't or didn't. Did you have to talk to them or break it down to them, or was they alarmed in any way?
Well, I tell you, my mind was so cloudy. I said to my daughter, "You need to listen to these people.
Mm-hmm.
I allowed her to make my decisions for me. I was in no condition to make decisions mentally. I just could
Yes.
not. I said, you need to listen to these people because what they're saying to me is going in one ear and out the other. And then you
Wow.
need to tell me what to do. And she did. She spent the night with me in the hospital, in the bed. The nurse came in the room in the middle of the night and she didn't have a problem with it. She's like, oh, you're, and she didn't even know I had a daughter because I went in the daytime. But the night
Okay.
nurse came in the room and she said, oh, and she didn't mind that my daughter was in the bed with me. And that was it. That was basically it. She made my decisions for me.
The 14-year-old?
A 14-year-old. Since
Wow.
then, she's become an RN. So,
Wow, you raised her right.
okay,
Mm-mm-mm. Now, a 14-year-old became a caregiver. I had somebody on the
exactly.
show that had their children involved in dialysis. And I always believe you should school your kids about what you're dealing with, school your kids about what's wrong with you. And you got to know something about it yourself, even before you
Exactly.
involve them. So, wow, wow. Well, so you told her this, and did she take it hard or easy? Because, some kids like, mommy, I don't know, or I can't
No,
deal with this.
she took it in stride. It was no problem. And I didn't even, like I say, I was mentally out of it. And I didn't even think I'm putting this burden on a child. I'm asking a minor to make my decision. But I knew she
Mm,
was an intelligent person and able to discern right from wrong, good from bad, whatever. It wasn't like I had to have surgery and they were going, cut me open and she had to decide. I just
yeah.
needed her to remember whatever it is that they were telling her so that the rest of the family could find out later because I wasn't going to in condition to remember.
Well, I can see you, and I don't know why your screen is just frozen, but it is a reality show. Maybe it'll loosen up. I don't. Mm. All
Okay,
righty, but we can hear your story very well, and we want to
okay,
definitely hear it. And
okay.
I love the outfit and everything.
Oh, thank you.
So, but if you feel like you need to move or anything, you let me know. If you want to, exit out and come back in, or we could just keep going, whichever is better or easier for you. But I do see you on the screen. I see no movement, but I see you on the screen. But that's how it is in a reality show. I just heard the baby crying, so that's how it is. Stuff happen all the time, and we work with it. We keep it rolling.
Okay,
We
well
keep
on
it
my
moving.
end, I'm moving on the screen, but if you want me to go out and come back in, I can
No,
do that.
no. If you moving on the screen, the only one would send me anything if anything was wrong would be Steven. He has not texted anything, so it might be great on both ends. I ain't mad
Okay,
at you.
okay.
All right. So
Hmm.
moving right along. So you heard the news. Your daughter stayed in the bed. Nobody had a problem. So that's a good team because sometimes teams work against you when you're sick or ill. So you had a good team working with you and allowing
Hmm.
certain things and helping you through this thing. How was your experience going into the center now that you've been in the hospital? And I'm sure your first treatment might have been in the hospital. I know mine was.
No, I didn't have any treatments in the hospital. I
Oh,
was assigned to the clinic at the hospital. Now,
wow.
after however many days I had stayed in the hospital, I went to the clinic and
Mhm.
they made an appointment for me. And when I got there, they told me, we don't accept your insurance.
Whoa.
So, I called my primary care doctor and she
Mhm.
sent me to the clinic I've been going to for the past 18 years.
Wow.
And that was a wonderful experience for me when I got there.
Now that shows they care because a lot of times when you deal with health insurance and things of that nature, you're getting a lot of glitches. As a dialysis patient, as a transplant patient, even people that don't even have the same illness as us and have different illnesses have bumped heads with these people, have had problems with these people, have been harassed or upset by these situations. I know I have when I had the Medicare thing issue. I don't even want to go back to that nightmare. I had to go back to
Mm.
work when I wasn't ready, just because nobody gave me insurance for a few months. Now you know you need transplant medicine and stuff like that, but some heroes stepped in and
Well,
had my back. So I ain't mad about it. You know what I'm
fortunate,
saying?
right.
Hmm?
Fortunately for me, I had never been hospitalized before other than having children. And when I got to the clinic, I remember this feeling coming over me and this voice saying to me, you can do this. And
Mm.
everyone there was so welcoming and so nice. And, I didn't really know what to expect, but I
Yes.
knew that I had to go. So I went. And
Hmm.
as I said, everyone was so welcoming and so nice and just made me feel welcome. So
Now
I'm
you
like, you can do this. And so
when you
mentally, I prepared myself for whatever was to come because I didn't know what was to come. And I still hadn't looked up the word dialysis. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh my goodness. Wow. Mm. Wow. All right. Well, I'm glad that you had that good experience because everybody don't have that testimony. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you had a good experience. I had a good experience too going in. My first
Yeah.
treatment wasn't a good experience, but my first place and the center was pretty good. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Well, for
now,
me, I was fortunate in that the doctor that I was assigned to was the
yes.
head of the peritoneal department. And so she said
Ah,
to me, I think you'd be a good candidate for peritoneal. However, I need you to go down the hall to the hemo clinic and talk to, she told me who to talk to and look around and ask questions, whatever, because that is an option. So I
yes.
walked in the hemo clinic and I saw machines and I heard alarms and I saw blood. I did speak to someone and then I just walked out and said, I didn't know what peritoneal was. I said, I'll do that.
So that scared you going in, or alarmed you a little going in when you saw the
Yes,
blood and
yes,
everything. Who it
yes.
wouldn't?
Once I went into the hemo clinic, yes, I didn't understand what all of that was. And like I say, I didn't know what peritoneal was either, but I just
Mhm.
opted to do that.
Okay, so all right, so you left there and you went back next door. What was the procedure to go to actually get peritoneal?
Well, I hesitated for a good 6 months because
What?
I had never had surgery before.
Ah,
So rather than, and I knew that I needed it, and I allowed myself to get worn down to the point where I could barely walk. And, I could still walk. I remember taking a trip to the bank, and that's about 6 blocks from my house. And I did that,
mhm.
but I was just in so much pain that I knew that I had to get the surgery. I had been advised to get it, I just didn't schedule it. So I
Mm.
scheduled it. That went off with no problem. And I started peritoneal. I started my training.
Wow, wow. All right, so you had no repercussions after your surgery,
No,
and they trained you about what to do.
exactly.
And
And
how
the
long did you
training
do
takes
it?
as long as the patient requires or whomever, the caregiver. As long as the time you need to get it together, and
Hmm.
peritoneal is very easy. And it was only like 3 buttons on the machine. So it was very easy.
Hmm. Yeah, it was something pleasant about that. My sister did peritoneal, and she told me a
Yes,
lot of stuff with and about that. I watched her with it, with the dwelling and the exchanges and stuff like that. And when she did it through the machine, by the machine, manually. And I had a brother
yes,
that also did peritoneal too. They both did it for a while before they went to hemo. But
yes. Well,
wow, wow.
I started out manually.
Hmm.
And initially they don't fill you up with the entire liter bag of saline. They just put a little bit in there for you to feel comfortable, and then they let it dwell for a short period of time, and then they exchange it, and you go back and forth during the training. But the one thing I want to say about the training is the first thing that the nurse said to me was, I'm going to teach you how to
Mm-hmm.
wash your hands. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't do that correctly, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
showing you anything else.
Wow. Wow.
That's the main difference between peritoneal and hemo. There is no requirement that patients be taught how to wash their hands and or be shown how to, it's the same thing to be taught, but to explain the necessity for them
Mm-hmm.
to wash their hands. Everyone is
Yeah.
aware of washing their hands now with a pandemic, but it's always been the case. And this is something that's important to me as an advocate. And it's something that should be, in my opinion, taught in the clinic and required in the clinic for every patient.
Well, I know I'm a social worker, and that we had to learn how to wash our hands at the job. And we had to learn how to wash our hands. Period. Not just the signs was up, but they ask you, they tell you, and it should be something that you was growing up doing. Maybe you wasn't doing it right when
Exactly.
we were growing up, but after a while you learned. I remember for 1 minute they told us it was the birthday song. Then they told us 20 minutes, a 20-minute thing, and a suds and a this and a that. So, but I know that you know this stuff, and I'm glad that you're on it to know it and to even speak it or show it or something, or throw us to a website or something. But
All of that, yes. Well,
no,
the
go ahead.
CDC is my go-to. You know, I mean, there's so many websites out there. The ESRD network, IPRO ESRD network of New York, the National
Right.
Coordinating Center. The, there's so many. You can just go on
There's a
YouTube.
million.
There's so many videos that teach how to wash your hands. But as a
Sure.
patient, there is an aseptic way to wash your hands. And this, in my opinion, is what people should be taught and should be doing in the clinic. It cuts down on infections.
Well, I never liked anybody touching my machine if their hands wasn't clean. I never liked them if they had another machine to come over to my machine. That was not. I didn't like that. Or I would. And if you had gave me a hard time or act up about putting me on, or had an attitude, or got upset with me, or just having a bad day, I asked for somebody else to put me on until you can relax and calm down. This is about
Hmm.
my health. It's not about love and like. It's about health. And it took me a long time because I like people. I don't like anybody to feel bad. But then when it's life and death, I got no time for that. I have to tell you straight or be, honest with you. And you should know because this is part of your job. So,
Exactly. We've talked about it. I don't believe that there's anyone working in the healthcare field that is unaware that they have to wash or sanitize their hands. That's just part of whatever training you receive to work in the dialysis clinic as a doctor, nurse, technician,
yeah,
cleaning person. All of this is, clerk, whomever. I don't care, you
that's
dietitian, whomever. You're working in an
right.
environment. I come
Yeah,
to dialysis, I tell them one reason only, to receive life sustaining treatment. This is why I go to the clinic. And I'm not
yes.
trying to, it's like I bathe before I come in to see you. I'd appreciate your washing your hands. It's as simple
Wow.
as that.
Put it out there. I ain't mad
Yeah.
at you. Tell it. You ain't never lied. Do what you got to do to keep me alive. Do what you got to do to keep your job. Do what you know.
Exactly.
Do what you was trained to do.
Exactly.
Show me you can do it. Sometimes you give them a little nudge or remind them, and it was helpful to some, and some got mad in the attitude. But some understood because it was a team thing. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, make you
Exactly.
quit, or make you fired. We talking together. I'm not trying to blow you up or embarrass you. I might take you aside and talk to you and tell you. But
It's,
sometimes, people get antsy and they get upset. But it's all about love, okay? It's love where I'm
exactly.
trying to tell you something, okay? It's not nothing. It's not a put down. It's a put up. All right.
And not only that, I'm not trying to catch anything. And if I'm not giving you anything, I'm not trying to receive anything. And you touching me means that
Yeah.
when you
Right.
go home to your husband, your wife, your children, your cat, your dog, your snake, whatever it is,
I get you. Yeah, yeah. I forgot that thing, iguana, whatever it is.
okay, whatever it is, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mad at you, but you don't know what I have. They don't know. So if I have something,
Mm-hmm.
you might be bringing it home to your family, to your loved ones.
So that's why you got to do it right. So you don't get sick
Exactly.
and I don't get sick. That's in the whole nutshell right there.
And if you don't
Well,
want
you
to do it, that's fine. I'm not arguing with people. I don't come here to argue. I come here for life sustaining treatment. That's the reason I come here. So if you don't want to do it, that's fine. Send somebody else. I'll wait.
mm.
That's how I feel about it.
Well, what made you decide to get so passionately involved in the kidney world at all? I mean, what made you or prompt you or approach you or pushed you to get into the kidney world at all to come a part of it?
Quite honestly, when I was on peritoneal, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about the ESRD network or becoming a PAC rep because, and actually, I didn't really need it because they did a wonderful job of educating the patients, keeping us aware. We had meetings practically every month. What do you want to learn this month? What do you want to learn next month? So it wasn't a problem. But I got a hernia 4 years in. I had to go to the hemo clinic and I was
Uh,
told I'd be there for a year. And during that time, the social worker came to me and
mm,
asked me, did I, she said, you would be a good person to be a patient representative. I wasn't working, I'm retired. I'm like, oh, okay. And I started from there. I was just kind of thrown into it because I was asked to be a rep.
wow. Well, that's great. I mean, I had the same experience where they asked me, and I started at the center doing it there in the center, and then it went, all over or local or whatever. And it was a great experience, and I kept trying to get others involved
Hmm.
or let them taste a little bit of it. And some was interested, and some didn't give it a chance, or some didn't care. But now it's so much out there, and it's even bigger and better that I'm praying and hoping that they will from this show, hearing what you're saying, hearing what we're all saying on this network, so they could get, better involved, better educated, and feeling better about themselves, you know?
Yes, because certain illnesses, diabetes, cancer, there's a lot of information out there, there's a lot of advertising, etc. But
But
less
both
is said about kidney disease.
is under a rock.
And ex- and it's really terrible that the information isn't out there. Or some clinics do an excellent job of letting people know of the various modalities that you can
Uh-huh.
treatment options that you have. And
Yeah,
there are other clinics that just throw you in the clinic and never tell you anything.
want to
So
keep you
that's a
there,
problem.
keep you cattle. Yes,
And that
keep you
should be the patient's choice.
and not educate you. That's bad. That's tacky, and it's sad.
Exactly.
Pitiful.
Exactly.
It's too
And
much
an
money
educated patient
not to learn.
tends to, sorry, I was going to say an
Too
educated
much money
patient
towards
tends
it.
to do better.
Hmm.
When you know the reason why they're giving you pills or telling you to take binders, when you know the effect that this can have on your body and
Yes.
the detrimental effects of not taking the medication or missing treatments, all of these things are important. But as I said, in peritoneal, I was trained one on one with the nurse.
Uh-huh.
In center hemo, I was just thrown into the clinic. And it was just mass chaos, people running around. And one person was very nice to me, thank you, Eddie, and said, okay, let me show you what to do. You got to go to the scale, you got to, etc. But as I said, it was just chaos and confusion and loud and scary and
Mm.
alarms and things like that. And nothing is explained. No
Sad.
hand washing, no education, no nothing.
Yeah.
And it was just such a different experience. And my nurse went on break. And while she was on break, my first treatment in hemo, my machine started to alarm. And a strange man came over and started pressing buttons.
Wow.
Whereas I had always been in charge of my own treatment, I was uneducated about anything in the hemo clinic. I didn't know
Mm.
anything about the machine. I didn't know what
Mm.
the alarms meant. It was very scary. And
Sure.
I was kind of scared to say, "Who are you? Why are you touching my machine?"
Yeah, right. Because
You
you was
know, it
always in.
indeed. And
Wow.
like I say, she went on break and she didn't tell me she was going on break.
Mm.
And like I say, the machine started alarming and it scared me.
Did he say anything when he came over?
Yes, he did. He introduced himself and but he first
Good.
came over. He did have a glove and he started pressing buttons and he introduced himself. And from
Yeah.
then on, it was no problem. But like I say, you have to learn the difference between who is a nurse, who is a technician, what they're allowed
Amen.
to do.
Yes.
We all need to learn how to read the front screen of the machine
Yes.
to
Sure.
understand what is your blood pressure, how much are they taking off of you,
Thank you.
how much per hour is being taken off of you. Can
Mm.
you handle that? You
Yeah.
need you
That's
need to know
thing.
these things.
Yes. That is so true. Even your caregiver need to know some of that stuff too. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
And I've taught
Especially. Yeah. Go ahead.
I've taught people that don't even speak English how to read the machine. Okay? So that the caregiver can be watchful for their patient. Certain
I
areas of the machine.
I had to find a translator, and that's what I did. I had knew somebody that spoke Bangladesh, and they helped me with somebody in the center that was Bangladesh, because the young girl, her father was there, and it was just her and him there, and the girl was tired, messing up in school and everything, and I was just the advocate, and I was trying to help, but I got somebody to speak the language to help me to help that family, and I was so glad that they allowed me to help them, because sometimes you don't speak the language and stuff, people don't want to be bothered, or they're afraid
Yes.
of you, or you a whole different race, whatever. So but I was glad
Yes.
that I was able to get that help. So I'm glad you was educated enough to help somebody even though they didn't know the language. That's good, and they allow you to do it,
I've
and
taught
you will.
I've taught them I've taught them how to wash their hands as well. No English. You don't need to know how to speak. They can just watch and mimic and know what to do. Okay? Because the main thing they were doing that was incorrect, and they teach you in peritoneal, when you turn off the faucet, use a paper towel.
Right.
You don't turn it off, you just wash your hands. So now you've recontaminated your hands by touching the faucet.
Say that. Say that. Wow. Well, how? Why don't you, when you had to go back for the year because of when you had the hernia issue?
Well,
You never
actually,
turned back to peritoneal. Why you never turned back to it? What happened?
I liked it. I liked being in the center. I made a lot of friends, and
Hmm.
I could see that there was a need for advocacy, most especially in the clinic. So I
Wow.
didn't go back. I was supposed to go back, but I didn't go back.
Okay. Now tell me some things that you do with iPro and ESRD network. I want you to
Okay,
break each thing. I'm gonna go with that, and then I'm gonna go with champions and anything else you're dealing with.
okay. With iPro, I started out as a member of PAC, the Patient Advisory Committee. We
Yes.
had regular training sessions, and the outreach coordinator, and I forget what Aaron's job was. but they would do meetings in the various boroughs. So I would go to the meetings and get training on what you're supposed to have in your clinic. Every clinic is supposed to have the patient's rights hanging up, a grievance procedure hanging up, and
Yeah.
all of these things should include the phone number to the ESRD network, IPRO ESRD network, which is
Yes.
the regulating agency appointed by CMS to oversee all of the dialysis clinics in the United States, the health department, and whomever at your clinic you can speak to regarding how to resolve an issue or of concern that you're having. Each clinic should also have the Quality Initiative Program certificate hanging up, which gives patients a guide as to
Mm-hmm.
where your clinic stands nationally,
Wow. I'm
what their
loving you right
grade is.
now. Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you.
No, I said I'm loving you right now. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Um, 66 is the passing number. So if your clinic is below 66, they're not passing. If they're above 66, then that's a good thing. And let's see, then from working with iPro, we did a program called Kidney School. It's online. It is free.
Yes.
Anyone can do it. And we did
Yes.
that. And then we became subject matter experts. At one point, I was the chairperson for Brooklyn, and now I'm an advisor.
Go on, girl.
And I've graduated from that to going into national committees. The first national committee what I was on is, and still am on, is the National Coordinating Center. And here,
Mm.
subject matter experts from all over the United States, including
Yes.
Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Hawaii, whatever,
Say it.
we have monthly meetings. You have the opportunity to join committees. With them, I'm on the bloodstream infection BSI committee because that's my baby. I believe you're on transplant. There's a
Yes.
home
Transplant right now.
therapies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they have home therapies and a patient choice. So
That's right.
people get together once a week. It's free. It's on the telephone or on the internet. You get to meet people from all around the United States,
Yes.
on the phone, sometimes in person.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, at some point, I was asked to be on the Kidney Patient Advisory Committee. And
Excellent.
that's very prestigious. And
Powerful.
I'm happy to be a part of that. And there have been many opportunities afforded me because I am a part of that. And currently, I am working with the CDC, the Center for Disease Control,
That's right.
on make you see posters in the clinics making dialysis safer for patients. And I am the patient voice on that particular committee. I happen to be the only patient, but I'm able to lend my voice to these experts as
Yes.
to how a patient may receive some of the information, or from my experience, lend my experience to whatever it is that we're trying to do. Currently, we're focused on catheter care, but all of that is on hold because of coronavirus.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Well,
And
have you ever had muscular?
no,
Okay.
so I've
You
only
have.
had catheters my entire time.
Okay. And
But let me say, as a proviso, I don't recommend that anyone keep a catheter, because it's a fact that it is the highest level of infection. So
mm,
fistula first, and then a graft, and then a catheter if that's your only choice. But there are
yes.
some people who can only have a catheter. because of whatever's going on with their body. So I don't recommend it, and but I keep myself infection free and out of the hospital. But
Excellent.
as I said, I'm not recommending it.
Right. Right. We know. I mean, well, some of us know. Shouldn't say we, because it might be somebody out there shocked
Exactly.
or needed
Exactly.
to hear that. So I thank you for your
Exactly.
honesty and putting it
Yes.
out
So
there.
yes, I would recommend that people get rid of it. Yes, I do.
And
But
he
as I
died
said,
in his
there are
chest.
some people that have health issues, or maybe they're elderly and have whatever's going on with them, and they can't be stuck with needles because that would be too difficult to get them even
Right.
attached to the machine. So, as
Right.
I said, I don't recommend it. I happen to have it, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, my mother-in-law was like that. She had peritoneal, and she had the catheter and stuff like that because she
Yes.
couldn't
Well, you
take the
have to
needle.
have a catheter with the
She was
peritoneal.
70, so she was
Yes.
70 years old, and so it was hard on her. So yeah,
Yes.
but okay. Thank you for your honesty. Now you're also a CKD champion, and you the financial officer,
Yes. Well,
right?
it's easy to be the chief financial officer. I mean, I have an accounting background, but by the
Yeah,
same token, when you don't have any money, it's very easy.
you're counting a little bit. All right.
Yeah.
Well, at least you
We
in
get it
line
done.
with experience. You know what I'm saying? What are some of the
Yes.
duties you have to do as a champion? I
Okay,
must be
let's see.
now. I'm losing it. Go ahead.
We started out doing lobby days at various clinics. Some clinics I had to go in and show them the materials of what it was that I wanted to talk about in advance and get approval from the administration. Today, the doors are more easily opened and people are aware of the name CKD Champions, and they know we're not there to get your patients to rise up and have a riot or whatever, because we're not about that. Our motto is educate, encourage, and empower.
Wow.
So we started out doing lobby days, and then we started going to various senior places and talking to people or churches and doing health fairs and you name it. If we were called to action or if we knew of something that we could get involved in, we did it. I've
Mm,
done many webinars over the years with the various organizations I've been a part of many panels, and
wow.
professional organizations sometimes want to hear from experienced kidney patients that their peers can ask questions of, etc. So I've done some of that as well. I'll
Wow.
probably remember something else later, but anyway, basically, that's it.
Well, you did the kidney walks too, because I met you and your executive
Yes,
producer, who
that's
we all had on the show a lot. That's Lady Dawn. And you've done a lot of stuff, and in your own right. You know what I mean? And that's
yes,
one of the things I like about you. You shoot from the hip and you get things done, and you're a good support. A good
yes.
friend as well. You know what I mean? A good friend, a good support. You know what I mean? And if I needed to know something or needed help with something, you always was there to help me too. So I do
And I
appreciate that.
appreciate that as well, Lisa. You've been there for me as a good friend too. So I always appreciate that. And like we've done NKF, the kidney walk. We've done workshops with them, with AKF. I am an
Yeah.
ambassador with AKF, and
Yep.
I've gone to, this is the first year that they didn't have it. They have,
Oh, that's
and
right.
not ambassador, and yeah, advocacy day. And they
Right.
would bring representatives from all around the United States and
Hmm.
prearrange for you to go to your congressman or your senator's office and speak to
Right.
their people, explain your story. And it's a really wonderful experience There are many more of us than those that can be allowed to go on a trip, but they train you. And as I said, to be able to go and speak to your congressman's representatives or your senator's representatives, it makes it personal that we show up and talk
Mhm.
to them about some of the constraints that kidney patients have. And there has been a large change since I started with kidney disease. It
Wow.
used to be that there was no patient voice. Now everyone wants to hear from patients.
Good.
They don't know
Uh,
what it feels like to go on dialysis.
they don't.
They don't know the challenges that we face every day or how you feel at the end of your treatment.
Mm-hmm. Preach.
You can hear that. I can tell you, but you can't answer the questions that someone would have. So I'm very happy that they've included the patient voice as we go forward.
Yes. I'm glad about that too, because I used to tell them,
Yes,
when they had AA and all those other things, they had to use another person that dealt with the thing to do it. That should be the math for everything. You know what I
exactly.
mean? You can't say what you don't know, or you can't say what you haven't been trained by or through. You know what I mean? Or
Yes, they
experienced
can
or
they
went
can
through.
only question, and each of us is different. My
Yeah. All
journey,
with
whatever it
grace.
is different than your journey. All of our
That's right.
journeys are different.
Very much. Very much. What was
And
the
my
best?
reaction to a particular medication is different than your reaction to a particular medication. So
Yeah.
they can tell you might get such and such dizziness, headaches, whatever, throat,
Yes.
vomiting, but they don't know everyone is different.
Yeah, not until we share it or tell it, because they
Exactly.
making things now where we could
Exactly.
share a lot of our stories, say a lot of it, even if we don't get a chance to be interviewed on a show. What was the
Yeah.
best? What's one of I can't see my question. I had it right in front of me, and then me and you started saying something else. But what's the thing? What's the best thing? I had to make sure I get this question before I start to end the show. What's the best thing that makes you keep doing what you're doing? What's the drive?
I enjoy it. I also
Okay.
get educated at the same time. As I've learned more about the illness, I know how to live a better life. I told my doctor, I want to live as long as possible, as upright as possible. Just let me
Mm,
know what I need to do. I said, I don't want
60
to be an old person all bent over. He said, you don't want to be a young person bent over.
I know
And the
that's right.
best thing is understanding the education. That's the first E in our mantra, educate.
Uh-huh.
And as I
Wow.
became educated and my eyes became open, and I would go to the iPro meetings and I would sit front and center with my
Yeah.
notebook, writing everything down. And as I learned things that we are entitled to, as I learned things
Mhm.
about the illness, as I learned how to approach it, as I learned the proper way to file a grievance or a concern, this helped me. It helped me to, it was just the need to share this information with the other patients. And I'm retired.
Yes. Yes.
What else have I got to do?
Well, that's good. I learned to get things in a lot of different languages, and a lot of these networks have stuff in a lot of languages, and I like that because I deal with such a big population of people. So I
Exactly.
like to share it. I like to put it up. I like to, hand it out, give it out, and what have you. You know, if you could say something to somebody out there that wanted to take one of the roads that you've taken or the road that you've taken, what exactly or advice or encouragement could you say or give to them?
Well, the first thing I would do whether they are a patient, caregiver, friend, I would say talk to the social worker at the dialysis clinic. Tell them
Okay.
that you are interested in becoming a member of the patient advisory committee. There you should sign forms, which they would send to your ESRD network and connect with the ESRD network in whatever state that you are in the United States. That's what I would tell them.
Wow. That's good advice because I learned a little bit, you know what I'm saying, when I was in the center, but there was so much stuff that they still didn't tell me because I was in that network
Exactly.
all of that time and I could have been higher or more advanced
Exactly.
if I know. I didn't know that till you told me that the other day. It like blew my head away because now I'm still at that level, but I don't mind. I don't make if I came in the front door or the window. I'm happy to be at through the door. Either way, I can get through
Well,
the door. It would have saved some time, but it is what it is now. So now that I know, I know better for the next person or the next
yes.
patient or the next
In New York, I can't speak for all of the states. There is a
person.
program online called eUniversity, and you can learn about the various aspects of kidney disease.
Put it
There's
out there.
kidney school. These things are free. The problem is having online access, and you can do them at your leisure. At the CDC, there are videos on how to wash your hands. There are programs. They have a free schooling program that teaches you how to wash your hands. And after each section, you take a little test. I mean, all of the answers are in the information that they give you. It's not hard. And as I say, you do it at your leisure.
Yes. It's no force. You know what I mean?
No,
And
it's
you
not
doing it
forced.
for yourself. It starts with you doing it for yourself before you're doing it, for your
Exactly.
family or community or your center. It'll start with you first. And once you get
Yeah.
a good hang on it, a good thing with it, then you can push on or go forward or move with it. But bite on it a while for yourself first, because that's important and that's good for you. It will be good for you. Is there anything that we missed or any of the job that you have that you want to talk about? Uh, lady
Well,
musician.
no, well, I don't do that anymore.
No,
I have a keyboard in my house, so I can play for myself. But as far as being a musician, no. The one thing I did want to touch on is the
yes.
importance of not missing your treatment and
Okay.
the importance of doing your full treatment. When
Woo.
people do that, generally, you feel better. When you miss treatment, when you cut your treatment, you feel terrible. I mean, I've done it and I felt bad, but I do my treatment. I eat the foods that they tell us that are good for us. I stick
Yes.
to the diet, and mainly when I choose to cheat, I cheat. Last week I wanted some ice cream. I went and got it. You know, it's
I was scared.
important to take
I'm glad
it's
you
important to
enjoyed
understand the
it. Mhm.
reason why you take your binders with every meal. I travel with my binders. They're in the other room. Otherwise I'd hold up my bottle. But I travel with my binders. I take my binders. And when I don't take them, I feel bad. My bones hurt.
Tell it.
It's as simple as that. I don't feel well. You mistreatment, you are not a clear person. You're not functioning at your normal, at your best. It
No.
makes a difference. It's important to do your treatment, your full treatment, and not to skip treatment.
Amen. Amen. I was too scared to ever skip. I ain't never skipped. So
Well,
I'm
I
glad.
have once or twice, not often. And
Uh,
really, right now, like I say, I've been on dialysis for 18 years, so I haven't urinated in a good 14, 16 years.
wow.
So I have to go. I have to go. It's if I don't go, it is painful. It is very painful. and I can't wait to get back in there and on that machine. So, as I say, I don't urinate, so therefore, it's imperative that I go to every treatment.
Oh wow, you couldn't have said it any better than that. Is there anybody you like to give a shout out to?
Well, in the other room, my daughter Kim, my granddaughter Blake. Hey, I don't know if my daughter's online, but she's a nurse working on the front line. And my son, he's at work, so he wouldn't know anything about this. But
Yeah.
yes. And to all of the people in the kidney community that came out tonight, I appreciate that. I have my screen on horizontal, so whatever comments were written, I can't see them. I didn't bring my glasses. I came here to make a wigwam for the school project.
Your granddaughter, yes. Wow. Well, don't worry. You can always look it back later because after this, I'm finished. I'll
Yes,
go
I
back
know.
and look at it. But I am so
Yes,
hungry.
me
I
too.
might have to fly down there so I could be able to, read and do things effectively. But
Yes.
you did a fabulous job, and I
Thank you. I
appreciate
want to thank you, and I want to thank Steve and Urban Health Alliance for this platform. I sincerely appreciate it. And my dinner's in the other room. Happy Mother's
doing
Day.
that Mother's Day dinner. Yeah, my nephew, he sprung for some nice dinner for us too. And then, and I can't wait. It took so long to deliver it, so I can't wait. Boy, where's my knife? My fork. But this has been a great show. I thank you for your teaching, your sharing, and even just telling us stuff. And somebody out there heard you. And
Thank you.
and I pray everything go well tomorrow with the webinar and all the things that you're doing, all your endeavors. Happy Mother's Day. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
And thanks a million.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a
Happy
million,
Mother's
girl.
Day to you too, Lisa, because I know you mother a lot of people. I know you
Well,
do.
thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. And enjoy your
Okay.
evening. And I
You as
appreciate you.
well.
We'll
Thank
be
you.
talking.
Me too. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Woo! Guys, have you heard it? Did you learn something? I know you did. So put it in your cart. All right. Put it in your book. Put something there. Chew on it a little while because there was a lot of information there and a lot of stuff there. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for not counting it robbery. Stay well, stay blessed, be careful, stay home. You know what I mean? And look up those resources on my page. If you're looking for food or your rent to be paid or some back money or something like that, look on my page. All right. I might have it in the comments. I have been having it a couple of weeks. But anyway, y'all have a blessed night. Much love and peace. And thanks a million, trillion, billion. Bye.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah.
This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 in the kidney one.